Gangster's Boss. The Story of Shane. Written by Amira Collins. Shane, that rival gang you beat up last night? They're out to get you, man. Oh, yeah? I laughed. Where are they? On our territory right now. Retaliation. I knew it. Always gotta hit back harder. I made the necessary calls to my boss and the guys from the night before. A twin shot across my stiff neck, injured in the brawl. Such a gruesome one, bloody and downright sickening, even to me. I arrived at the designated spot as planned and met up with my two boys. We slinked through the thick crowd like snakes on the prowl. Eyes peeled, expressions hardened, fists at the ready. Where do you think these punks are hiding? My guy asked. Dunno. My voice was low and furious. Let's hit the top floor. Boss is waiting. I counted backward, eyes pinned to the elevator's digital floor numbers. 5. Boss is waiting. You want to know why we fought? Why so bloody? 4. They followed us. 3. They asked for it, eyeing us down like that. 2. He'll understand. Rabid dogs had to be dealt with. 1. Time to face the boss. The elevator doors slid open, and a group of gangsters stood before us. I recognized their fitted attire and tattoos. 20 of them poured out into the vacant corridor. Most of them didn't recognize us. We'd only banged up a couple of them. But then I saw the one I had slammed to the ground. I'd smashed my fist into his bloodied face 1,000 times, and he saw me. Purple bruises covered his pale skin, swollen and ripped. My doing. As they shuffled out, I entered the elevator with my friends. He raised his hand, snapped his fingers, and pointed. Stop! His guys halted and then turned. One darted his hand out to keep the elevator door open. That's them, the battered one said. Those are the guys right there. The gang surged forward, curses and threats spewing from their mouths. An older man pushed through. An unmistakably sharp, superior, fiery dragon glare lit up his face, and I took him as the leader. He edged closer to me, stepping inside the elevator. Oh, man, this is it. We are outnumbered. My boss is upstairs. They want to fight. The dragon pulled out a machete and pointed the sharp end at my throat. Crap. How did I miss that? Focus. Focus on this beast in front of you and his blade. The leader held his machete steady. I didn't flinch. I didn't move. I didn't do anything but meet his burning stare. You go after my boys? His face contorted with disgust. You thrash them in the center of the street like they ain't nothing? You disgrace our name? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to chop off your heads and hack you into pieces, all of you. Where I first attended public school, everything had perfect structure and order. Academic excellence was key. Button-down uniform shirts nicely tucked into uniform trousers. Adults expected us to be well-mannered and respectful. No disorderly conduct from children allowed. But that was before my father moved us to a new city where kids didn't wear uniforms and adults didn't drill the importance of studying and education into young minds. My peers fought every day. It reminded me of a circus that offered a distraction from a limitation I hated. I can't read. I can't write. Letters are so confusing. Numbers are worse. We're still working on narrowing down his learning disability, the teacher told my parents. As you know, his previous diagnosis of severe ADHD certainly affects his learning. Shane's report card shows he's at the bottom 7%. It's best if we place him in special education classes. When I turned 11, my parents moved our family again. At my new school, we wore uniforms, but the kids were rough and undisciplined. The curriculum for certain grade levels didn't match with what I had learned before. For me, education seemed like 1,000 little fragments laid out before me, but I had no clue how to piece them together. My brain was different. I was different, and everyone knew it. Dude, you're so little. Where are you from? Dwarfland? You look so funny. Why's your face like that? Look at me. A kid pulled at his eyelids with his fingers. I'm Shane. The insults hardened me. I balled my fists and marched through those crowded corridors with a scowl. I felt lonely and insecure, but no way would I break a sweat or cry in front of these jerks. I could handle them bullying me, but I got ticked off when they went after my kid brother, Charlie. Our big brother, Xander, was in a higher grade and unable to rescue us from those clowns. Therefore, I accepted it as my duty to save Charlie myself. "They keep beating me up," my brother cried, "and they're too big. I can't take them." "It's okay," I tugged him to my side as we walked home. "We'll tell Mom and Dad." That evening, as our family sat down for dinner, I got my words straight in my head. "Charlie's getting beat up at school." I swallowed when my mom's fork clanged to her plate. "It's true, Mom. He gets punched and kicked around by this group of kids who think they're tough. They call us names. I'm sick of it." "Oh, honey," Mom said. "Have you told the teachers?" "Yeah, but they don't do anything. They never pay attention. No one cares. And I'm tired of those guys hitting Charlie. I'm telling you." I deliberately ignored Dad's heated stare behind his glasses. As a strict father, he didn't allow fighting or misconduct of any kind. If we got into trouble, ironically, he beat us as punishment. Whatever, something has to be done. If those kids touch my little brother again, I will fight them. It's my job to protect him, I thought. I need to defend him. They have to understand. "Oh, Shane, calm down," Mother shook her head. "You know violence isn't the answer." "Well, it's gonna be if they keep putting their paws on Charlie." Mom laughed. "Fine, big brother. Go ahead and get yourself in trouble." I knew she didn't take my declaration seriously. It wasn't like me using my fists and feet to send a message, and my parents certainly hadn't condoned violence. After dinner, I excused myself and hightailed it to my bedroom. I stretched out on my mattress and thought of the filthy names those dirtbags called me. I'm not a do-gooder like my parents. Sure, I understand violence isn't the answer, but sometimes you gotta hit a person where it hurts to get him off your back. That's exactly what I'm gonna do for my little brother. The next day at recess, Charlie bounded over to me crying and holding his crotch. I grabbed his shoulders. "Charlie, what is it? What's wrong?" "Those guys," he sobbed. "I was playing rugby and running down the field with the ball, and this big boy came out of nowhere and kicked me right in the privates. It hurts, Shane." "Where is he?" I seethed. I knelt down and tied my tennis shoes snug. Couldn't have them flying off during a fight. "Which one, Charlie? Point to the coward who did this." "Over there," he hiccuped, shooting his finger at a boy my age. I took off across the playground until I reached the open field. I raced toward the boy and screamed, "Hey!" He whipped around. I launched myself into the air and tackled him to the ground. I swung my fist and smashed it into his jaw. Over and over, I hit him with as many blows as possible. Bolts of pain blasted through my hands, but I didn't care. He tried to shove me off and screamed for his buddies. Nobody made a move. They let me finish my attack. I rolled off him and stood. I had the whole rugby field's attention. Good. I took in the moment of shocked silence and then marched to class as if nothing happened. After school, I cornered the bullies along with the boys I pummeled. "Touch my brother or say anything to us again, and I will fight each one of you every day till you stop." No one ever messed with us again. We didn't hear the slurs anymore. In fact, my former bullies and I became friends and formed a gang. At 11 years old, I concluded that Mom and Dad had it wrong. Violence was the answer, for me anyway. By 13, I often skipped school with others in the gang to hit the downtown district. We tagged buildings with graffiti, cussed out teachers, smoked cigarettes, and fought other kids. My family noticed the changed me. Mom showed me love and attention, always trying to figure me out. She tried to talk sense into me, but I ignored her wisdom. Dad used his hands and belt. He thought he could beat the troublemaker out of me. Yeah, right, a lot of good it did. If anything, each beating drizzled more gasoline onto my fiery temper. "We're moving," Dad declared. "You're getting into too much trouble here." My parents enrolled my siblings and me in a private school, hoping to curb my rebellious behavior. Fat chance! I had no interest in changing. 3 out of 5 of my classes were one-on-one with special education teachers. I wanted to learn, but I couldn't climb over that annoying block in my head. Rather than delving into schoolwork, I focused on making friends. I snagged a girlfriend soon enough. Risa and I hung out often. Some guys from school tried to disrespect her, so I made plans to fight him. I also heard rumors that my older brother Xander had joined a crew. I didn't believe it. Yo! Someone bumped my shoulder. It was my big brother's friend. What's up, man? Nothing. Waiting on this kid. Gotta bust him up, you know? He nodded. Yeah, I heard. You see those cars that just rolled up? I looked across the parking lot and spotted 3 sleek rides parked on the right side of the empty field. Several guys piled out of the vehicles and leaned up against the cars. I narrowed my eyes, wondering who they were and why they stared. Who are they? They're from your brother's gang. They're here to watch over you. I heard Xander joined some crew, I said. Didn't believe it, but all right, thanks. The dude who dissed my girl showed up, and I beat him to a pulp. Easy. He'll think twice before ragging on my girl again. A guy from my brother's gang approached me. He was slender, average height, and probably had a couple years on me. So you're Xander's brother, huh? Yeah, what's up? I'm Benny, my crew and I. He nodded to his sleek cars and silent gangsters. We came to watch out for you and make sure nothing crazy went down. He named the gang. We wanted to recruit you into the Brotherhood. Give me a week to think about it. I'll get back to you. A week passed and Benny rolled up beside me in his car while I walked home from school. I stopped on the sidewalk knowing exactly what he came for, an answer to his invitation. I committed right there on the curbside. He pulled a folder from his car and handed me an application to fill out. Contact information, passport number, birth date. What kind of gang is this? You pay $4 to join, Benny said. He shrugged at my confusion. It's been this way for hundreds of years. Tradition is important, Shane. He browsed over my paperwork, then slipped the sheets into the manila folder. From this moment onward, I'm your mentor. I teach you our ways and culture. Your attire will change. None of that baggy street dope boy clothing. As a member, you're to look respectable. I listened as Benny talked, and we planned to meet again for my training. I wanted to be a full-fledged gangster. I believed I belonged in organized crime and that I could become established and earn respect. When I got expelled for initiating a gang fight, I decided to quit school. I'm never going back, I told my parents. I'm done. Dad's jaw muscles tightened. Mom closed her eyes, defeated. They'd completely lost control over me. I knew it, and so did they. My parents had consistently sought to instill values in me: love, generosity, respect, and more. But part of me felt like their morals hadn't actually helped me, and that their ideals didn't apply to a kid like me. The rebel kid, the gangster kid, the angry kid, the kid who couldn't learn. At 15, I got word of a rival gang gaining power in the community. They chopped up folks with machetes left and right. As Benny's right-hand man over his branch of 40 subordinates, I was expected to deal with the new gangsters. My role involved keeping the branch organized, recruiting and training members, overseeing gang conflict, and meeting with other crime leaders to settle issues or brawls. When the leader of the rival group began pulling guys from other gangs, he noticed me. Me, the loyal, hardcore gangster, the one to be trusted. The man promised me territory, protection, alliance with law enforcement, and a position of greater power over the gangs. Nevertheless, I remained loyal to Benny. We've been trying to avoid this for 6 months, Shane. Benny sat me down, but their leader wants you on his team. He's forcing me, and I don't want to fold, but I gotta do what I gotta do to avoid a war and keep my life. I'm handing you over to him. You'll have to willingly pledge loyal to him. I understood. The threat was too serious, and this gang had no qualms killing. I joined the rival gang and brought over all the men under me. This new gang gave me automatic ranking because I was already a leader. I rose up in the rank even more, recruiting people, attending gang meetings, participating in the fights, and being as involved as possible. We established the connections with the police and infiltrated several aspects of public life, but kept a low profile. Credit card fraud served as a big part of our business, as well as the drug trade and other illegal endeavors. The gang elders loved me. Being cool with the original gangsters, or OGs, was rare. Shane, listen to me. The OG parked his car. I met his gaze from the passenger seat. Luca never let anyone sit in his car alone, yet there he was, dropping me home. As long as you're loyal to the family and you remain dedicated to the business, I'll always be on your side. You go to jail, I'll personally bail you out. Understand? Yeah, I understand, Luca. When I joined Luca's gang, I lost a special girl in my life. Not Risa, a new girl. Lucinda had that pretty, innocent, good girl image, and I loved it. That's my girl, I told my friends. Nobody go after her. I'm going to pursue her. We dated for a year. I was crazy about Lucinda, but she hated my dangerous lifestyle and made me choose between her and the gang. Of course, I chose the boys. Choosing a girl over the brotherhood was forbidden. Lucinda was a big sacrifice, but at the time, I believed the gang was worth it. We must leave, Dad declared. If we stay, you will die. Nah, I shook my head. I'm not moving. My whole life is here. Well, we're moving, Shane, and I'm moving for you. I want you away from here. Don't pack up and move for me. What about your assignment here? That can wait, my father said sadly. You're important to me too, Shane. Come on, Dad. I'm serious about my new girlfriend, Camilla. I'm a high-profile gang member. I just can't leave. I know what my heart says, son. Please think about it. At 16, I knew I wanted to continue my gangster career. I'd worked too hard and developed too many good relationships to jump ship. But my relationship with Dad was great too, greater than ever. We'd reconciled after being at odds for so long. Dad learned to love me despite my dangerous lifestyle, and I learned to respect him as my father. One day, before my family left, I realized I couldn't bear to break his heart, so I chose to help my parents move and agreed to stay with them for 6 months. I figured that once they settled in, I'd fly back home and return to the crime world. Shoot, the break from the gang might be nice, too. Days after we landed, I connected with local drug dealers and began selling. I also worked in construction for a show of honest income. Of course, I still had ties with the gang back home. My position required that I conduct business over the phone all the time. I started to experience PTSD. I became paranoid and explosive. My parents hid the kitchen knives, but I managed to find one and kept it tucked in my sock. I came from an underground world crawling with murderers, thieves, and all sorts of criminals. I knew I had to watch my back no matter where I lived. For 2 years, I traveled back to see my gang and stayed for about 3 months at a time. I hated airplanes, the shaking, the turbulence, the zero control. I had asked Camilla to marry me, but I doubted her loyalty to our long-distance relationship. I asked my leader to do some digging on her. She's cheating, man, he said. Been seeing some dude named Damien. I hung up and called Camilla. Her sweet voice answered. It did nothing for me. I told her, my voice low and dangerous, I'm getting a plane ticket back soon. You tell that guy you're messing with that I got a present for him. Use a machete. Kill him. Chop him up. Throw the pieces in the jungle. And Camilla? How dare she? No loyalty. No love. No trust. I am done with her. I believed in vengeance. Weeks before Christmas, I boarded a plane fully intending to kill Damien. As always, my phobia of flying flared up, and I tugged my little Bible out of my pocket. I couldn't read a lick, but something about it comforted me. How could it not? It was my childhood roots, after all. All those morals and values my parents instilled in me derived from their Christian faith. I usually ran from my parents' teachings about Jesus, but still clung to it in times of need or panic. I flipped the pages and zeroed in on the letters. The words jumbled and blurred together. They held no meaning. Still, one statement popped into my head. God will heal you in 3 days. I snapped the book closed. I rubbed my forehead. I knew God was the man in the sky, not someone who cared enough to answer my prayers. How many years had it been since I talked to him? Really asked for his help. Okay, God, I thought, if you heal my anger in 3 days, then I won't kill this guy. I arrived at the airport. My boys met me and inquired about the murder. Give me 3 days, I said. After 3 days, we'll kill Damien. The first 2 days, my heart boiled with rage and hurt. On the second night, I lay in bed. Darkness surrounded me. The glow from downtown lights swept through the bedroom window. I glared at the ceiling, thinking about my deal with the Lord. "Tomorrow's the third day," I whispered. "If I'm not healed, I'm going to kill him." The following morning, I rose to an unfamiliar peace in my heart. I felt a massive presence of something or someone I couldn't see with my eyes. I gripped my chest and swallowed against my dry throat. Impossible. Nothing hurt. Did God touch me? I wondered, did he really snatch my pain away? "I'm letting Damien go," I told my boys. "Forget them both. It's over." I spent several more weeks there handling business and catching up with the boys. Shortly before my departure date, I hit a nightclub with the guys. In the middle of the bodies dancing and music booming through the speakers, God entered my mind. Honestly, ever since the third day when I woke up feeling peaceful, I constantly thought about him. Why must I think about Jesus at such an inopportune time? Man, I don't have time for him. I'm a die-hard gangster. I'm not Jesus material. My buddy interrupted my thoughts and pointed out a rival gang eyeing us. I groaned, "Nah, man, I'm here to chill. No fighting tonight." When the club closed, we drove to an outdoor restaurant. My friend noticed that the rival gang followed us. They had even the audacity to sit at a vacant table beside us. If they were going to act like punks all night and not make the first move, then I knew my boys would be happy to crack their skulls first. So I chewed my final bite, raised a brow to my two crew members. "You ready?" the movement said. Cold grins lit up their faces. "Of course we are." We leaped up and began the rumble. Chairs and tables flew as we fought mercilessly. My guy looked like a bloodied mess as I ground his face into the concrete and crushed my knee into his chest. I pummeled him so badly that even I cringed when I left him on the street. The next morning, I received a phone call about the rival gang hanging out on our turf. Apparently, they were looking to retaliate for the previous night's beating. My guys and I headed toward the elevator to meet up with our boss, but we ran into trouble. The other guys found us. We were outnumbered about 20-3. The leader wielded a machete to my throat. I met his burning gaze. "I'm going to kill you," he ranted and seethed and leveled his threats. "I'm going to chop off your heads and hack you into pieces, all of you." Oh my God, this is it. This is how I die. Suddenly, I felt an explosion of power fill the elevator. I tried to ignore it and focus on the man spitting curses and threats in my face. The one holding a blade sharp enough to hack off my head in one clean swipe. But I couldn't focus on him, or at least not totally. I felt like the very presence of God captivated me in that elevator. It also scared me. I took a step back. The blade followed. No escaping that thing. "God," I pleaded, "save me. I don't want this life anymore." In those tense, dangerous moments, my mind concentrated on a God I didn't know. How is God here with me? Why is he here? He's not a personal God. He's just this creator in the sky. He's not supposed to care about me like this. He's not supposed to show up like this. But he has. I'm about to die, and I don't even know this God. Everything I had done since I was 11, my dangerous path, my crimes, I'm not going to heaven. I'm hellbound. "Whoa, whoa," my boss pushed through the throng of gangsters and dragged their leader away. "Peter, put the machete down. These are my boys right here. These are my guys. Let's settle this calmly. Let's talk it out. We can talk it out." Peter, the man who almost chopped off my head, listened. They knew each other. God, they actually knew each other. How fortunate for me. I breathed and thought, did God save me? As the leaders talked, I stood off to the side, questioning everything I'd ever believed about God. It took everything within me not to slump against the wall and really catch my breath. I willed myself to remain hard, though. I didn't ever want to look soft. I didn't know God could abruptly show up like that. I didn't know he was personal. Is this why my parents are so crazy about him? Is this why they devote so much to him? No, I shook my head. It was a coincidence, that's all. God didn't save me. But the following night, I believe the Lord saved me again. I nearly overdosed on ecstasy at a nightclub. Coldness seeped through my bloodstream. My body slouched over in my seat. In my mind, I cried out for Jesus to let me live. Immediately, the warmth in my blood returned. The blurriness cleared. But I can't give up my gangster life. Not yet. I'm too deep. The next day, my right-hand man, Jace, picked me up for a ride. He disregarded the speed limit, being his reckless self. Something moved me to put on my seatbelt, which was strange because I never wore my seatbelt. "What's up, bro? You don't trust me?" He laughed. "That's not it. You better put your seatbelt on too. Just do it." Within a heartbeat, the car began to fishtail. I clutched the dashboard as the car swerved left and right. Jace tried to gain control of the wheel, but the car kept swerving. This is it, I thought. We are going too fast. Whatever we hit, we're dead. After everything I've done, all the danger, this is how I go? God stopped me from killing that Damien dude and landing myself in prison. God saved me from getting my head chopped off. He saved me from an ecstasy overdose. Was it all a wake-up call? Did he want to catch my attention? I guess he wanted to show me his realness. Show me he could rescue me from anything, even death. Yet I ignored him. I refused to soften my heart toward him. This is what I get. Jace screamed. I too. The car spun harder, faster. This is how I go. The crash sounded like a cannon blast. I lurched forward, my hand shot in the air, and I blacked out. My head lolled as I blinked to regain consciousness. I saw a shattered window. A rusty metal beam had crashed through the window and rested right beside my head, between me and Jace. Only a few inches different, and it could have blasted through our skulls. With shaking fingers, I touched my cheek. Blood. So much blood. "Jace!" I turned to him. "Oh, God! Jace! Jace!" Blood oozed down his face in streaks. Eyes white, rolled back. His body shaking. No. I love this kid. He's basically family. Gotta get him out of here. I popped my seatbelt, thrust open my door, and I was falling. My back slammed into the ground as I stared up at the car nestled between two large tree branches. The hood of the car had smashed into a house. That's when I noticed the commotion. People running toward us, sirens in the distance. I scrambled to my knees, ignoring the bolts of pain shooting through my body. "Help me!" I cried. "Help me! My friend is stuck! He's seizing! Help me!" Several people helped pull Jace from the tree. I held his body close to me. He was silent, the seizing over, but the blood poured onto me. "Shane," he said my name so low, almost a whisper. "Please, tell my dad. I love him. I can't feel my body." He's dying, I thought. God, please, don't let him die because of me. I recruited him at 13 years old. I trained him. He's a committed gangster, and it's all my fault. He's dying because of how I decided to live my life. Please heal him. God, I need you to heal him. Deep down in my soul, I was sure I heard God say, "He's going to be okay." The steady beep of the IV pump echoed in the hospital room. Alone, still, pale blankets pulled over me. Tears gathered and fell. I thought about God's love. Why would he love me so much? Me, a gangster like me? It doesn't make sense. I'm the worst of the worst. Why do you care so much? I'm full of evil. I'm full of hate. What good am I to you? I should be dead and gone. I had no explanation for the thoughts and questions. Instead, I prayed, "God, I want you to be my boss." I said, "I don't want this life anymore. I want to be part of your thing. I want salvation, or whatever it's called. I don't even really know how to pray." I clutched my eyes shut and exhaled a shuddering breath. I don't even know how to say this. My words were a mess, but I guess the Lord heard me. I'm pretty sure he did, because right then I felt love engulf me. I decided that day there was no one else for me to follow. No leader, no crime boss, only God. My entire life, you're everything I've been seeking. Love, loyalty, trust. Jesus, you didn't have to save me, but you did. The next week, I returned to live with my parents. I avoided my old contacts. I didn't want anyone enticing me with any illegal activities or criminal interests. I locked myself in my room and cracked open the Bible to the New Testament portion of the book. Like before, the words jumbled and blurred into symbols I couldn't decipher. But as I focused on Jesus and prayed for him to give me understanding, the words started to make sense. I believe God used the Bible to heal my mind. For so many years, I couldn't spell, read, or write. But within 6 months of investing my time and effort and trusting in him, I could read. I read the New Testament 7 times. It's like you're knitting my brain together, I told God. I finally understand. One scripture stood out to me. It broke me, really. Matthew 18:6 reads, "If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone tied around their neck and to be thrown into the depths of the sea." My eyes widened. I thought of all the young guys I had recruited into organized crime. How many of them grew up as believers in Jesus Christ? How many of them were lost or depressed youngsters, and I led them into a death trap? I gotta go back, I told myself, and eventually told my family. "No," Dad said, "you're not going back, Shane." "I have to." I met my father's worried gaze. "I have to quit in person. I need to tell my gang and everyone under me that I'm leaving because Jesus saved me. I introduced so many people to that lifestyle, Dad. I gotta introduce them to the way out. Jesus, it's only right." "Don't do it. What will happen if you quit in person?" I shrugged. "Doesn't matter. I'm doing this for God. If I die, I die." I flew back and called a meeting with the Brotherhood. "Thank you all for coming. I missed you." I looked around. So many young guys sat before me, faces looking up at me. "You all know what happened to me and Jace, but there's more to the story." I told them everything from God saving my life to restoring my brain. I told them that God never gave up on me. Through all my rebellion and hard living, nothing I did ever stopped him from loving me and chasing after me. I told them how I gave my life up to Jesus. As I talked about my new purpose in Christ Jesus, some guys looked shocked while others seemed interested. Maybe the shocked ones didn't understand how I could find anything more fulfilling than chasing money, getting high, starting fights, running illegal businesses, and more. Or maybe they thought the accident had knocked my brain sideways and I'd gone crazy. "Listen," I said, "I'm meeting with the main boss tomorrow. I'm quitting." It was nearly unheard of quitting, but I trusted that God had my back. I stuck to tradition. I met with Luca to turn in my resignation. Anxiety flowed through my veins. Luca and I were close, but still, he could be upset. I knelt to the ground, outstretched my hand with the envelope containing my resignation. The bow was a custom, a show of respect. I said, "I want your permission to leave the Brotherhood." Like other times before, I felt God's presence. "Stand up, Shane," Luca said. He looked concerned. "You're only 18, but you have served this life like an OG. You've done so much, and I understand if you're tired. But why do you want to quit? Why not retire? Retiring is like saying you're done. Once you reach your 50s, you'll become a respected elder. This way, you'll be recognized for life." "Thank you, Luca, but I have to quit. Jesus is my new leader. He saved my life." I told him about my experience with Christ. I knew Luca feared the Lord. He had another religion's symbols tattooed all over his body. But when I mentioned Jesus, I saw a flash of recognition in his eyes. "I respect your decision, Shane," he said. I'll tell the guys to delete your name from the office. We'll get you out. There'll be no trace you were ever connected." He plucked the resignation from the envelope and placed it in my hand. It held cash. I get it, tradition is key, but take the money. If you consider me a good friend, I'll take the envelope, and that'll be your way of quitting. In essence, Luca terminated our business contract, but not our friendship. Lucinda, my childhood love, sent me a message via social media. After 3 years without contact, she decided to check on me. We began talking as friends. But when she realized I'd given my life to Jesus and left the crime world behind, I believe that pleased her because she started pursuing me. Even after I returned home and began studying for the GED, she continued to message me online. Seems like she's attracted to me again, I marveled. This is interesting. We'll start slowly, simply friends. I'm focused on God now. I'll see what happens. Within 10 months, I completed my classwork and passed the GED test. During that time, Lucinda and I started a long-distance relationship while she studied at college. I loved being open with someone I could trust. The fact that she loved Jesus and also had given her life to him only deepened our relationship and our joy. I spent 6 months in a Christian training program learning to focus on the Lord and develop an intimate relationship with Jesus. For the first 3 months, Christian lecturers spoke to the class and engaged us in fundamental Bible discussions and helped us to apply the Bible to our lives. During the following 2 months, I traveled to other countries doing mission work. I even visited prisons and detention centers to share how God rescued me from a dangerous life. When Lucinda and I graduated from college, we married. One of my favorite men at my parents' church, Pastor Cody, performed the ceremony. When I ran the streets as a gangster, I regarded Cody as a pretty cool guy. When I first gave my life to Christ, he helped me. My mind was troubled from all the violence and bloodshed in my past. I dreamed about people killing me, chasing me, and hurting others. I desperately needed peace. It's important we determine what triggers your anger, Pastor Cody said. Yeah, I know, there's a root to it, like hotspots. I think it's insecurity about who you are. He said, people picked on you as a child. It's hard to be proud or secure in your identity when others humiliate you. But if you're secure in Jesus and understand that God created you in his likeness, does it really matter what others say? As he continued to mentor me about identity, I wondered about my name. Lord, my name has bad ties to it. Everyone knew me as Shane, the hardcore gangster, or Shane, the loyal right-hand man. But I'm yours now. Do you want me to be called Shane, or what? I'm going to keep this between us. Please give me an answer. One Sunday, Pastor Cody stopped me in the church corridor. You know, Shane, he began, handing me a folded piece of paper. Last night, God told me your name has a unique meaning for you. I read, Shane, God restores ruined years. Tears gathered, and I wept. I couldn't believe God. Wow, you answered my prayer. You love me so much that you care about the smallest details of my life. The ones that nag my human brain and keep me up at night. You, my God, care that much. Lucinda and I moved to Texas. As before, when I was a teenager, my past experiences in the gang began to haunt me. PTSD crept back in, and my marriage suffered. Just when Lucinda and I reached a breaking point, a good friend stepped in. I'm telling you, my buddy said, this church is amazing. The impact it has on your individual growth with Christ is something special. The leaders actually put in time with their members and work toward bettering their lives, relationships, and more. It's great, man. My wife and I gave Church 1132 a try, and we didn't regret it. Forgiveness, healing, new life, new beginnings. Pastor Dustin and the church sowed those seeds in me. Healing from my past didn't occur overnight. It didn't happen within a few weeks or even a month. It took time. To be honest, I'm still chasing after Jesus and striving to please God with my life. But I'm able to look back and marvel at how drastically the Lord has transformed me. I'm different now, and I readily tell people that it's all because of God.